And Unity Link Charity Foundation supports less privileged.
Now, the Ghanaian Times, President's virtual address to the 75th UN General Assembly. COVID-19 vaccine must be for all. This is the President of Ghana speaking. Ministry of Education, GES, Zoom Lion begin third phase disinfection of schools. Nurses, midwives suspend nationwide strike. EC dismisses allegations of missing names of NDC supporters from voters register, and ADB Bank donate 100,000 Ghana cedis to support GJA awards.
The Daily Guide says NDC flag bearer abandoned campaign to cover up failings. Mahama is desperate, says Nana. Government extends free water till December 31. YEA purges 20,000 ghost names, and government begins third mass SHS disinfection.
The president's address to the UN is still on the front pages. The Chronicle, COVID-19 vaccine should be available to the whole world. This is President Akufo-Addo telling world leaders. Akufo-Addo supports over 2.5 million Ghanaian youth. NPP Council of Elders start arbitration to halt independent candidates' craze. And South story on the front page. Pregnant woman dies with baby over nurses' strike. Police hospital tight-lipped.
The Daily Heritage says we know names omitted from register a free year Ankara. MOEGS Zoom Lion disinfect over 3,000 schools, and court places injunction on striking nurses, orders them to resume work today.
Now the New Crusading Guide. EC exposes NDC, says allegations regarding removal of NDC supporters from voters register unfounded. IGP and ACP Kwesi Fori sued over demolition exercise at Pantang. Ghana Atomic Energy Commission staff threatened demonstration over unpaid allowances. And promoting sustainable gold, local gold industry. Two institutions start working together, and they pay over 90 million Ghana cedis in taxes to the government.
The Daily Statesman says free water now up to December. Akufo-Addo offers more reliefs for Ghanaians. I think it should be 2 Ghanaians. NDC exposed over voters register false claims and make COVID-19 vaccine available to all. President urges UN.
Now the ABC News. Gold smugglers busted at Aplau. Young appointees should continue making a difference. This is upon Nkrumah. Akufo-Addo sacks Secretary East DCE. And their editorial says John Mahama is a backward thinker. This is the ABC News.
The BNFT's front page has a number of stories. One, pandemic forced closure of over 161,000 businesses.
Wow.
And on the educational...
In Ghana?
In Ghana, that's what it's saying. And on the education side, MOEG Zoom Lion starts third phase of disinfection exercise in high schools. Civil service upgrade should be on merit, not long service. Gimpa Rector and GCAA recovering from financial meltdown.
Now the Business Finder, Ghana, toast of investors despite negative impact of COVID-19. This story has a picture of Ken Ofori-Atta, the finance minister. Tenants Union of Ghana backs NPP's housing policy, and government extends free water to end of 2020.
Let me take you online to citynewsroom.com. EC to hold crucial IPAC meeting today over missing names. This is the lead story. EC has also extended the voter exhibition exercise by 2 more days. Meanwhile, they're saying that NDC's missing names allegations are unfounded. Other stories, Mahama to speak on missing voters register names today, and 2 Black Shield customers arrested over unlawful gathering at Registrar General's office. There are a few more stories here of interest. We don't expect SHS placement challenges this year. This is the Ministry of Education. GPL2 kicks against legalization of Okada. And then there's something here. Kwame Naho is working with Rawlings. Amidu's Critic 5, a sequel. Charlie, this is
a sequel.
So
to part 5.
Charlie, sorry.
So is that not part 6?
I don't know. No, this is part 5B.
This reminds me of Chewa part 1, part 2, part 3.
For the Rocky series.
This is Amidu's Critic 5, a sequel.
Abba.
Yeah, they deliver off. Now, if you go to citybusinessnews.com, Chamber of Pharmacy Ghana advocate for establishment of Pharma Bank. Fruit retailers lament drop in sales after initial corona-induced boom. And reduce imports to maintain stability of the city. This is Alasan Andani. MyJoyOnline.com. I was not the aggressor. Charles Bisiu explains fight with MP. Now, there are a couple of stories on that here. Another one says, MPP Charles Bisiu face swelling after fight with Chakwa and Suayem MP. And social media reacts to the fight. So, 3 stories on this. MPs to reconvene on October 6 to pass bills. And Secretary East DC is sacked for allegedly threatening to reduce MPP votes. If you go to Star News, 7 armed robbers jailed 175 years in total for robbing Supreme Court judge. Also, Akufo-Addo extends free water package to end of year, and NLC gives nurses and government 4 weeks to resolve the impasse. If you go to GNA, they lead with Anyaso Tuom give First Lady rousing welcome. Let's restructure global finance for easy access to capital. This is the president of Ghana. And GRMA temporarily suspends strike action pending negotiations. There's a very interesting story on CNN and BBC, which I find very interesting. Trump won't commit to peaceful handover of power.
Yeah, I heard it this morning.
Yeah, that'd be serious. So this is BBC and CNN. Trump refuses to commit to a peaceful transition of power after election day.
Why?
I don't know. Actually, I'd be shocked. So the story, maybe I can read it first. I've never heard such a thing in my life. United States of America, the story says U.S. President Donald Trump has refused to commit to a peaceful transfer of power if he loses November's election. This is BBC. Well, we'll have to see what happens. The president told a news conference at the White House. You know that. Mr. Trump also said he believed the election result could end up in the Supreme Court. Oh, we have experience, we can help him with that. As he again cast doubt on postal voting. More states are encouraging mail-in voting, citing the need to keep Americans safe from coronavirus. Mr. Trump was asked by a reporter on Wednesday evening if he would commit to a peaceful transfer of power, win, lose, or draw to Joe Biden. Okay, win, lose, or draw. The president currently trails his challenger in national opinion polls with 41 days to go to the election. I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, Mr. Trump, a Republican, said, and the ballots are a disaster. When the journalist counted that people are rioting, Mr. Trump interjected, get rid of the ballots and you will have a very, very peaceful, there won't be a transfer, frankly, there will be a continuation. Charlie? This matter. Maybe I'm not understanding him. I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. But let's come to Ghana. But this is serious.
Very serious.
Because we've been doing it for years.
Yes.
From Rollins to Kufuor to Mills
really.
to Mahama, everybody quietly, no problem.
We need to send people over to assist them manage.
No, I think this one, let's do a fiasco. Yes.
Okay. Two big stories in the center spread of the Times. COVID-19 vaccine must be for all, the president speaking, and nurses midwives suspend nationwide strike. Let me start with COVID-19.
Yeah.
The president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, yesterday delivered a virtual address to the ongoing United Nations General Assembly and called on world leaders to work together to ensure that no one is left behind in the quest for a permanent solution to the coronavirus disease. The president said, should there be a vaccine for the pandemic in the future, it should be made available to all without any considerations. And he said, and I quote, if the answer to this pandemic lies in finding a vaccine, that vaccine should be made available to the whole world, rich and poor alike, developed and developing, all races and beliefs. The virus has taught us that we are all at risk and there is no special protection for the rich or a particular class. So as far as the virus exists, whatever medical solution that is found should be made available to all in aid of our common humanity, he said.
He also said something interesting that the GNA captures. He says, let's restructure global finance architecture for easy access to capital. This is a really important point. The president has called for the restructuring of the global financial architecture to enable access to fresh capital by developing nations in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic and the havoc it will wreak on their economies. The restructuring of the global financial architecture to enable access to fresh capital by developing nations, now more than ever, is of immediate necessity if the gains struck in transforming the economies are not to erode and the standards of living not to be dangerously lowered. Nathan, I wanted you to give me the story on companies which closed.
Yes,
because of this whole COVID-19 matter.
Yes, this is on the front page and on page 3
of the BNFT.
Now it says new data from the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed the devastating impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the economy as a horrifying 161,066 businesses were closed as of June 2020, despite the easing of some of the restrictions. According to the GDP data for the second quarter of the year, businesses in the services sector recorded the highest number of closures as more than 96,200 businesses were not operating within the period under discussion. Trade followed with more than 27,200 business closures, with accommodation and food also seeing more than 16,900 businesses closed in the period.
There's a big story there, but let's come to the EC. Lots of stories.
You don't want the update on the nurses before we go to EC?
Yes, of course.
Let me give you the update.
That's a good one, yes.
Yes, center spread of the Ghanaian Times. Nurses, midwives suspend nationwide strike.
Yep.
And Abigail Arno writes that the government has undertaken to conclude settlement for nurses midwives and allied associations, who on Monday laid down their tools in demand for improved conditions of service within 4 weeks. This follows the suspension of a 3-day nationwide strike by the health workers who are to resume duty today, Thursday, September 24. Per the conclusion of a compulsory arbitration convened by the NLC yesterday, both parties are expected to agree on the best terms of conditions as regards all outstanding issues and report same to the NLC by October 28, 2020. Now, addressing journalists after the closed-door meeting, the Deputy Minister of Finance, Abena Osei-Asare, expressed the government's commitment to work together with nurses and come out with the best of terms for both parties so that by October 28, we'll have a good story for the NLC. Now, on the same story, pregnant woman dies with baby over nurses strike. Inusa Musa writes for the Chronicle that health personnel at the Lejokuku Krowo Municipal Assembly Hospital have zipped up their lips on their alleged negligence, which later resulted in the death of a pregnant woman Tuesday evening. The deceased, according to snippets of information the Chronicle gathered, was left to her fate when her family conveyed her to the hospital, where a couple of suspected nurses were at post, but not in uniform as a result of their industrial strike action. There was no doctor at the time.
And the doctors also on strike?
No, they were not, but the story says there was no doctor at the time. Reeling in pain and screaming for help, the pregnant woman and family were said to have pleaded with a few nurses who were sitting idle to assist, but were ignored. The family of the expectant mother reportedly rushed the woman to the police hospital, where she was later reported dead the same night.
So which hospital did they go to?
Lekma.
So if you're a nurse who was there and you didn't help, what have you achieved? This is really sad. There are other reports that we haven't even brought to the attention of the public, but at least now the strike is temporarily called off. We commend all parties for bringing things to this head. Let's come to politics now, Nathan.
Page 34 of the Daily Graphic. And the EC is speaking. It's refuting claims by the opposition NDC that the commission is deliberately removing the names of sympathizers of the party from the electoral roll. In a press statement issued yesterday, the EC described the claims as, quote, unfounded, unquote, and, quote, false. It said it had judiciously adhered to its motto of fairness, transparency, and accountability throughout the voter registration exercise. So, the EC...
there are other angles to this. They've extended the exhibition exercise for 2 days. Story on citinewsroom.com by Deladi Adogla Besa. It says the commission is of the view that this extension will allow even more stakeholders to check and verify their voter registration details. The commission said in a statement. They also urged the public to take advantage of the extension by making time to verify their registration details. Then they said they will hold a crucial IPAC meeting today over the missing names on register claim. The commission is expected to hold a crucial meeting with political parties later this morning, Thursday, 24th September, on brewing tensions over alleged missing names on the provisional electoral roll. The incidents, which are being recorded on a large scale from across the country, have already incurred the wrath of the NDC, whose flag ruler John Dramani Mahama described this as a reflection of the EC's legendary incompetence. Now, Mr. Mahama himself is to speak to the issue today. Presidential candidate of the NDC, former President John Mahama, is expected to speak today, Thursday, September 24, on the supposed missing names on the electoral roll. A statement signed by the campaign spokesperson James Hajinim Boatin said the address will be delivered at the party headquarters not too far from here in Adabraka. So those are the stories on that issue.
And let's stay with politics. NPP Council of Elders starts arbitration to halt independent candidates' craze. You remember yesterday the story to do with BCU.
I'll come to that. Apparently, it was an independent candidate issue.
Yes. Now,
and then the MC who was sacked as well. We are told there's something connected.
Yes. So on that MCA story, the Chronicle says DCE defies president's orders, roots for independent candidates, and the story says she's on an audio recording saying openly there is no way she would vote for the member of parliament for the constituency, Dr. Nana, you are a free an indication that she endorses the skirt and blouse pattern of voting in the upcoming general elections in December. And the ABC News says Ekufado sacks East DCE in relation to this particular audio. Now, on the happenings within the NPP with respect to the independent candidates craze, the Council of Elders of the governing New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region has started a mediation process to curb the fad of independent candidates contesting parliamentary candidates of the party in some of the constituencies. At a high-level meeting in Kumasi, the Council of Elders met the NPP parliamentary candidate for Asoka constituency, Madam Patricia Pieje, and Divine Menta, an independent candidate for the same constituency, where the latter agreed to step down for the incumbent. And the story goes on.
Now, there's the Charles Bishop story, which I'm going to read for you here. He says, I was not the aggressor. Charles Bisu explains after fight with MP. This is myjournalline.com. Now, presidential staffer Charles Bisu has described as gross misrepresentation accounts of the alleged fight that transpired between him and MP for Takra and CIM, George Miracle Duka, on Monday. In response to what he calls the outrageously false allegations printed in Wednesday's edition of the Daily Dispatch, titled MPP Regional Secretary Bites MPP Man, Blood Flows, and the Daily Guide report titled MPP Guru's Trade Blows, as well as earlier news articles from other media portals which began on Monday the 21st, I write to debunk those news articles, part of a statement Mr. Bisu issued read. His comment followed various media reports detailing the circumstances leading to the physical exchange between the two MPP politicians during a workshop for Western Regional Executives and parliamentary candidates in Takrady. Earlier, pictures of Mr. Bisu with a swollen face and eye almost shut hit the internet, causing many to question what was the reason behind the fight with George Miracle Duka. But in a statement, Mr. Bisu said he was resorting to the structures in the MPP to resolve the matter amicably. According to him, he was not the aggressor in the situation since it is not in his nature. According to him, although he would have preferred to publicize his side of the story, he is mindful of the fact that the MPP has an election to prosecute.
Has the party released a statement on this?
I haven't seen one.
Shouldn't the party release a statement on this because it involves a presidential staffer and an MP?
It's not even that. Like the fact that somebody has been beaten like this, don't you think it should be a police case?
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
But well, the man says
things.
You can't cry over more than the brief. He says, I am guided as always, not by self-interest, but by the greater ideals and loyalties. And I am of the firm belief that justice serves those who serve others, and that the truth and honesty holds.
Politics, man.
Politics, man.
Yeah,
So-
but loyalty
for God and party. So, and the statement is long. He quotes at the NTP's constitution that he will defend and promote the good name of the party, protect unity of the party, be loyal and faithful to the party, abide by and publicly uphold the decisions of the party, carry out his or his duties. He quotes all that and says, in accordance with all of this, he will allow the party structures to handle the matter accordingly, and he will continue to focus on his work for the party and for the country. Charles Cromwell Nana Benyi Unyawunto Bisu, Western Regional Secretary. Then there are more pictures making their
Okay, let's go to a story that affects all of us.
Wow.
Pensions, TUC told to redirect their concerns. This is the Business Finder. And in the same Business Finder, extending retirement age must be backed by research. Now, the Trades Union Congress has been urged to direct its concerns on the pensions of workers and retirees to the National Tripartite Committee for the necessary attention and discussions. Labour consultant Mr. Senya Ajabing maintained that the government would be unable to single-handedly act on the demands of the TUC. Now, related to this, the call by the Trades Union Congress for extension of the retirement age of workers must be supported by science and data. Labour consultant, the same person, Senya Ajabing, is speaking. In an interview with the Finder, Mr. Ajabing recommended the TUC should undertake the appropriate research before putting forward the proposal of extending the retirement age from 60 to 65.
If you go to the 6th page of the Daily Guide, it says government extends free water till December 31.
Nice.
Now the president has extended once more the free water for all Ghanaians policy. And by this gesture, water will be drawn free of charge from October 1 to the end of December. The release conveying the gesture and dated September 23, 2020 was signed by the Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abena Dapa. Now, according to the release, the directive is to enable Ghanaians continue with the protocols, especially the washing of hands under running water, to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic.
Let me give you more. Installation of smart street lights to be completed by March 2021. This is according to MIDA. Work on over 14,000 smart street lights to be dotted across the capital Accra, spanning a distance of 440 kilometers of roads, is expected to be completed by March next year, according to the Millennium Development Authority. The project signed under the Ghana Compact 2 agreement will be funded by MIDA to the tune of $9.8 million. It will see the installation of new energy-efficient, low-maintenance street lights and the replacement of malfunctioning street lights within selected areas of Accra. I'm so happy with this project. In an interview with Citi News, Energy Efficiency and Demand Side Management Manager at MIDA, Sylvester Ayayi, explained that the works will be done concurrently on the 3 lots that the project has been sectioned into. So we should see better lit streets by March next year.
That is good news.
Let's go to the page 16 of the Daily Graphic. Now it says 10 exam officials picked up for malpractice. Now, luck ran out on 10 exam officials and an imposter when they were arrested for their alleged involvement in exam malpractice in the course of the just ended BECE. The officials, who were supervisors, invigilators, and a router, were picked up by security officials in Accra between September 16 and 18 this year while the exams were ongoing. Now, routers collect question papers from the depot and distribute them to centers along an assigned route. The arrest was based on underground investigations by WIAC security officials. The 11 suspects were caught with mobile phones, and checks on the phones revealed snapshots of question papers, including those that were written on the day of the arrest.
Finally here, reduce imports to maintain stability of Citi. Alassane Andani, president of Ghana Association of Bankers, is calling for more sustainable measures from the Bank of Ghana to ensure the Citi's recent stability continues into the medium to long term. Mr. Adani told Citi Business News that the Citi will continue its strong performance against the dollar, at least for the last quarter of the year, if there are reduced imports.
Two quick headlines. Ghana Atomic Energy Commission staff threatened demo over unpaid allowances. They say that if the government doesn't pay them their allowances, they are going to go on demonstration. There's also a story hidden at the lower corner of page 4 of the New Crusading Guide. Government plans $500 million listing of Ejapa royalties sources. Now, the story says the government is planning an up to $500 million listing of its gold royalty fund in London in October, though the deal could still run into political opposition. 3 sources familiar with the matter have told Reuters. So
we'll end it here. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Kojo. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Stay with us.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show.
Today, there are doctors,